welcome everyone to this week's edition of Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. I am your host, Trevor Butz. He is Greg Beecher, and we have what should be an exciting show for all of you fine folks watching here today as we're going over all of the playoff action throughout the Can-Am Lacrosse League and the First Nations Junior B Lacrosse League. But before we jump on into that, we just want to make sure we say thank you to our sponsor, CB's Cannabis Club, for their support. Be sure if you are 21 and over to check them out, especially if you are down in the Allegany area. And now, as we will make our way to discussing these past games, I mean, Greg, this was a weekend full of action. I know I had 5 games in 5 days, and there were a few days where there were games doubled up in there. I
Had to
mean,
fire up BSPN too. We had so many games.
yeah, we did. But we managed to pull it off and get just about all of them covered. And I mean, what a weekend it was. These games, just about all of them were very close and competitive and just really highly entertaining, weren't they?
Even the one that wasn't so close. I mean, it was a good game until the end, and then the next day for them to come back and win like that. There's nothing better than Can-Am playoff lacrosse. I say it all the time, and I mean I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I absolutely love Can-Am lacrosse. It's been nonstop great. Like I just got done clipping the highlights. You know me, I'm an Albany guy. Got to see Sam Firth score the game winner. Little jealous of Charity and you. She was watching it. I was driving. I was listening to you on the call, and yeah. So what do you think of the overtime playing the full time limit instead of having like the golden goal or sudden death, as some people call it?
So yeah, that game we're referring to, of course, Grand River taking game number 2 over Tonawanda, 12-11 in overtime. And my thoughts on it, I'm more of a fan of the like golden goal, sudden victory overtime. I think it can make it a bit more intense and just make every play all that more meaningful when it's, golden goal, sudden victory. However, I do think the Can-Am's take on overtime is unique and helps to distinguish the league from others and whatnot. So I don't mind it trying to be different, but I think I do prefer the golden goal format.
I find it funny that even though they didn't have that format, that's essentially what happened. I mean, he scored.
Yeah,
It was a one goal overtime. So I mean, yeah, they didn't push for it. So yeah, I definitely got to agree.
sometimes one is all you need, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's literally all they needed there. It's been, I really appreciate you taking the time and going through and doing this. Why don't you run us through what's up?
So this is a look at the Can-Am Championship history since 2010 as we give you a visual look at all of the champions of this league since 2010. And you can see, one logo in there more than any other, and that is the logo of the Onondaga Redhawks. Since 2010, you can count them up 2, 4, 6 Can-Am championships for the Redhawks. They have 2 gold medals, which you can see on your screen as well, from the President's Cup in 2010 and 2014, their last title 2018. But at the bottom of your screen, you see the reigning Can-Am champion Allegany Arrows of their first ever championship in 2014 with their bronze medal from the President's Cup there as well. They're trying to repeat and go back to back as they look to take down Newtown first and then get to the finals. And you see the Golden Eagles on the screen as well. 2011 was their last Can-Am championship. They've won 11 in their history, but as you can see, it's been quite some time, and you can see all the winners that the league has had since Newtown's last title, including teams like Native Sons that went back to back in 16, 17. They no longer exist. And then Akwesasne as well. 19 and 22 going back to back is with back to back silver medals as well. They're now up in the Three Nations League. And then, of course, you see Tuscarora in 2023. So I mean, I think, an interesting look at, the champions, since 2010 in this fairly modern era of the Can-Am Lacrosse League.
Yeah, funny to see the teams that have come and gone. So the Native Sons, I was not a Can-Am. Like I did not know anything about Can-Am when that was going on. So to see them, but then like we were talking earlier, to see Onondaga, and they're not even in the playoffs. They didn't end up making the year. It is good to see some of the guys bounce around. So Emerson Shenandoah playing for Newtown. He's one of the defensive guys I love, can get up the floor. He was
Dan
playing with
Rogers is down there as well.
yeah, so they were playing with synthetic sticks while Dehoka was playing with a wooden stick up front. I thought that was hilarious to start the game. Like, just ironic that the Emerson, who I've watched play quite a few times, usually plays with a wooden stick. I watched him score a hat trick with it once. He's done some commentary with us, so it's good to see him out there running. Mason Homer playing for the Braves. I mean, there's some guys spread around. It is good to see that. But both series split 1-1. I mean, you talk about parity in this league. I would say the years of teams having dynasty runs is probably doesn't seem like that's the case for the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, parity is, becoming a big thing in this league right now, as we saw. I mean, the 6-10 Grand River Warriors got a win on the road against Tonawanda, a 12-win team. So anybody truly can beat anybody in this league. And
Grand River
I
really
mean,
hadn't had a win on the road, you were saying last time. I really
yeah,
liked your analysis on that. Give us a breakdown because you talked about it during the game.
Yeah, the Grand River had one road win all season long. That game was back on May 24th, a road win against Onondaga, 13-8. As if you look at the rest of their 6 wins, it was 1 win on the road, 2 wins were forfeits, and then 3 wins up at the Brantford Civic Center. That makes up their 6, and now getting that win, stealing the home field advantage away from Tonawanda by splitting that series like that, humongous for Grand River going back up to Brantford for game number 3. Only the second road win of the season, but it was a big one. And they can finish off the series at home without another road win. As we take a look at the Can-Am playoff bracket, both series tied up at 1. So Grand River could get to the finals with only 1 road win here in the playoffs, but I think the Tonawanda in all likelihood will take at least 1 of the games up in Brantford. So that that series could be headed to game 5. And on the other side of the bracket, the Allegany and Newtown series, that was one right from the jump I thought could be a 5-game series. Newtown takes game number 1 on the road in a bit of a shocker, especially to some of the Allegany fans. Come from behind an 8-goal second period after being down 2-0 in game number 1 to eventually take that game 10-8 on the road. Allegany responds in game number 2 the next night. Game you were there for, got to see a lot of fun and crazy action in that one, to say the least. But that
Yeah.
series is well tied up 1-1. Do you think that one could be destined for 5 games as well?
I'm thinking both of them look like they can be now, honestly. I
Absolutely.
half expected Allegany and Newtown to probably do that just because of how competitive the games have been. I've watched Newtown steal a win in Allegany before earlier during the regular season. So, I mean, there's so many things when it comes to that I really did expect that one probably. But I tell you, that Tonawanda game, kudos to Grand River to be able to respond like that after that is just amazing. I mean, we'll talk about the Newtown Allegany in a minute, but I got to dive into this Tonawanda series. I mean, those guys, Grand River to come back. So their goalie's name, I don't want to screw up his first name. Who was the goalie for the second game there? Because he came in relief in the first game too, right? Lennox. It's Lennox.
Imani Mitten.
Amani. Okay, because I thought
Lennox is on the team as a runner, but Imani
okay.
is the goalie.
So Amani is the goalie. He came in the first game, didn't do great. It definitely wasn't their night, but to be able to come out and they scored the first goal in both games though.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. It just seems like in that game on Saturday, everything that could go wrong for Grand River did. They, got punched in the mouth a bit. Let's, call it the way it is. I mean, Tonawanda, and I'd expect nothing less really from Tonawanda in that game. They're trying to defend their own home floor. They want to come out flying, and that they did. And I mean, the final there, 23-6. As we said, I mean, it was 14-5 at the end of 2. So, I mean, the gap had started to build after, Tonawanda only being up 4-2 at the end of the first period. But really the third is where they were able to pile on and just, make the game a no contest. I mean, looking at some of the numbers I got for it, I mean, they outscored them 10-3 in that second period of play. hat tricks for Kent Baker, Printup, Waylon Abrams in that games, at least 3 goals for them. And I mean, Zach Terry was shooting the lights out for Tonawanda in that game. I had him with at least 5 goals. I wouldn't be surprised out of 23 if I missed a couple, writing them all down, but he could have had 6 or 7 with how well he shoots the ball in that game.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say is I go through and I get the highlights for most games. So I go through and I try to get them. It's pretty much my favorite part of doing this. I love watching it. So Zach Terry does not score a ton of flashy goals. He can, he has the ability to, and I've seen him. But as I'm going through, he is just precision sniping from the outside.
He can grip it and rip it from distance. I think he had one in one of the games this past weekend. His back foot was like on the restraining line when he scored. It's like, this is ridiculous. This guy can shoot from anywhere on the floor. And, we saw that in that game on Saturday. It seemed like everything he touched was turning to gold in that game. He had the Midas touch for sure. And so did really the whole Braves team. I mean, 23-6, and that's just domination. Jake Lazor had a great game for them as well. But then, like you alluded to, Sunday, totally different night. Grand River comes out and gets the best of Tonawanda, 12-11 in overtime. And I mean, Sam Firth, you talked about it, game-winning goal for him. He had 4 of them throughout the entirety of the game. Handice Miracle as well had a real nice game, 3 goals for him. So, I mean, 7 of the Grand River goals there coming right between those two guys, just Firth and Miracle. I mean, 7 out of the 12, that's a good amount, but that means your stars are showing up and showing up big here in these big games. And Firth got the winner, and Grand River able to split the series. I know you said you weren't able to watch, but just listening to that one going home, what were your thoughts on how the Warriors were playing in particular?
Well, exactly like you said, they rely on superstars. The superstars were on fire. They jumped early. I think that was the biggest difference. I think the defense for the Braves were able to shut them down. You were missing a lot of those big guys. I think honestly, so nobody talks about Tonawanda's monster defensemen as to why they are as far into this as they are. Everybody wants to talk about Gates and Whalum and Owen, and I mean, you just take your pick. Everybody wants to talk about so many guys there. I mean, look at what Silas Jonathan's doing on defense, and he's the only one that gets credit. So I mean, Lee Abrams is coming back from his knee was injured. Hopefully that I think he should be able to play up in Canada. I'm hoping he got everything straightened out. We'll find out. I think that's going to be a huge thing. I mean, when they can't shut down those superstars, I think it's really going to come down to how Marshall responds. I mean, because he needs to get on. He's always been more of a pass guy, which you're seeing Gates step into that role, throwing the ball around, setting things up. But I really do think they're going to need, if they want to win this, especially split the series again and cause a game 5, they need him to be able to step up.
Yeah, it was a bit of a relatively quiet first 2 games from Marshall Paulus, just by his standard. He might have quite a few assists. It's tough to track all those, while calling the game and whatnot. But I don't believe I had him as scoring any goals. Maybe I missed one, but he, a little quiet by his standard. But I mean, if you can get the production out of Firth and Miracle that you're getting, and then add in, 2, 3 more from Marshall, and maybe a goal from Keto in there too, and among
Well,
the rest of the offense, Todd Thomas as well.
I was just going to
That's a
say,
tough team to beat.
Todd Thomas and Jake Bomberry, I don't think get enough credit
Jake
up there for
Bomberry.
what they're doing, because you've got Miracle and Firth really leading the way. But so that is the thing. I think when you talk about these teams, every team you could expect 6 or 7 goals out of their offense, right? I mean, no matter what the offense is looking like, every one of these teams you can expect at least 6 or 7. I think a lot of these games come down to the transition goals and how they can do, and really being able to shut down that transition, especially the 3 periods. You only have the one long bench. In the second, I think, especially in that first game, you saw that's where they really took it. The offensive guys get it. They change well. They've got some athletes that can sprint out. But having that defenseman or D guy that can stay on and push the pace up, like so many guys that the Braves can do, that is such a advantage in the transition. And that's where I think the difference in the game is going to be.
It's key for them. It really is. I mean, we've talked a lot this year about guys like Taylor Jensen who can really push the pace in transition. Zach Belter, a traditional stay-at-home defenseman. I mean, I think I said something the other game. I mean, he had more shots than I've ever seen him take ever.
Yeah, you said he
Period.
had more shots in this game than you've seen him take in his entire career, and I think you were right there.
Yeah,
He was feeling it.
he was feeling it, and he did get one in, I believe it was the second game.
Yeah, I made a highlight of it.
He
It
had
was
one. I know he had the nice little dunk one in the first as well. But either way, he was shooting a ton, and he can, really get up the floor. A big, powerful guy that can, fend off defenders, and somebody who knows how to do it himself, so he can fend them off. But Anthony D'Amico is another guy who I really like for Tonawanda that can really get up the floor and
what do
push
you
that
think?
pace as well.
What do you think his face-off percentage is?
Oh,
I think he's got
it's
to be
probably
70.
pretty good.
I
He
think
is
he's got to
solid.
be 75, 80%.
He is one of the most solid face-off guys you'll find. But I mean, somebody else for Tonawanda though that came up with two huge juice
Yeah.
goals in that game. Jason Chiodo in transition, somebody who may not get a ton of credit on this Braves team, but he had one early on in the game that brought Tonawanda close. Then he had the tying goal right near the end of regulation that sent the game to overtime. And I mean, Chiodo, like I said, not somebody that we might talk about a ton, but he came up big for the Braves in that game. Two big transition goals, including the tire. I know they wouldn't have end up getting the win, but they needed that goal. They even send it to OT and just, I mean, how about the play of Jason Chiodo in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I was same thing. I watched both of those. He comes up, and you can't really see the ball, so they weren't great looking highlights, but they were great looking goals as far as when you were watching. Just the athleticism gets up there, and that's why I said there's so many guys on Tonawanda. You're always leaving somebody out. I'm talking transition, and how
Yeah,
did I forget Taylor Jensen? Duh, yeah. There's just so many guys on that Braves team. I think that is going to be the difference. They have not necessarily traveled well up to Grand River, though. They've lost to Grand River before. Honestly, I don't think it's a given that Grand River doesn't sweep this series up there.
it's
They
not a
can
given.
steal it.
I mean,
They can completely
anything can
steal it.
happen in Can-Am. I mean, many people probably would have thought Tonawanda would take the first two, and then you could afford to lose one up in Canada. But I mean, that's no longer the case with it being 1-1 after two games. It's, you know, Tonawanda has to make sure they get at least one. You cannot go up there and get swept. And I don't think the Braves will. I just think the number one seeded team, I don't think will let their season end on the road like that. But like you mentioned, they lost up in Grand River before. June 8th, 15-12, the final score. Grand River defeats Tonawanda. We've talked about it before. They do have some trouble at the border with a few guys unable to make it over. But that's why you got to have a 30-man roster in the Can-Am. That's why you have these deep teams. Tonawanda is a deep team, and um, a few guys will exit the lineup. A few more guys will enter right in. And in my opinion, they should really be just as good as they were before because it's just next man up mentality for them. And it's going to have to be that way for them in, games 3 and 4.
Yeah, and so Big Rig Dylan Watson has not been there. He got in an accident on his way to the first
Joel
game.
Watson.
Or Joel Watson, sorry, Dylan Watson. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, they call him Big Rig. So it. Took me a minute to figure out who they were talking about, but everybody said, "Oh, Big Rig got in an accident," but they said he was okay. Hopefully the car's okay. Hopefully we do see him again. But I mean, that's another good point. Is it? It kind of drove me nuts. They Tonawanda responded when Wayne got pulled, but they really played a lot different. They scored a couple goals right away, didn't give up any shots. It was what they needed. Yeah, sometimes the goalie pull is just the momentum to get them going. Why
It
did
really can make a difference. But I mean, just in that weekend with Joel Watson not being there, I mean that's a huge loss just for him in his own right not being able to play in that game. But that meant Jake Lazor really had to shoulder the load for Tonawanda. I mean he played 5 full periods and an overtime, so that's quite a bit of action for Lazor just over that weekend, facing around I want to say around 60 shots, even with only allowing 6 in that first game. Still a lot of rubber to see. And then comes in relief of Wayne Abrams in the second period. Um, just wasn't Wayne's night. There were a few ones that I'm sure he would want back that he allowed in the first, but and it just, like you said, Tonawanda was a totally different team once they made the goaltending change. Maybe they should have made it a little bit sooner to try and generate that spark more towards the end of the first, because I thought it felt like they were kind of losing that game. I mean, down 6-2 after one, they make that goaltender change a little bit sooner. Maybe they're able to get the win instead of sending it to overtime and losing. But it's all hindsight, right? But at the end of the day, Grand River gets the win, and hopefully Joel Watson is back in between the pipes for Tonawanda pretty soon, because that could mean Lazor and Abrams have to split time again, and if Tonawanda shoots as well as they did on Wayne again, it could get dicey for the
Grand River.
Braves here pretty soon. Yeah, Grand River, excuse me.
I knew. I just wanted to make sure everybody, in case they clipped that. No, the Braves only shoot on Wayne in warm ups. The rest of the time, they should be good. But
I hope they're not shooting on him in a game. That'd be a real problem.
Yeah, it does happen from time to time, but not very often. I don't know, man. What an upset that would be. You talk about parity in this league, though. Last year, 1 and 2 kind of ran through the first round, and then we're in the finals. What a difference it's been. The series is split. Honestly, you're going into the way they do 2 home, 2 home. What do you think about that? I enjoy it. I like the 2 home and 2 home versus 1 and 1. It's way easier for us than traveling, but
Yeah, I kind of like it. I think that's what like the NHL does in their best of seven. 2-2. I think that's a good way to do it. Like you said, it does make life a little bit easier for us knowing that like this past weekend we'd have Tonawanda just back to back, and knowing this weekend that there's 2 games up at the BCC back to back. But I think it definitely makes a difference because we see in the junior league it alternates, 1 and 1. So that really makes a difference in their series, I think, because if you go down 2-0, that means you could be, if you're the lower seeded team, you're home for game 3. Whereas as Tonawanda experienced, they were on the road for that game. As we take a look at the chat, Gary Hodges wondering why the Six Nations team folded.
you started talking junior, so I figured we might as well jump into
the
it.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it was just a combination of things like it usually is. It's never really one true thing. A lot of players were having to travel quite a distance, I know, to get to their games and whatnot, and
they had to deal with suspensions that so guys were out. They were having issues, so it's tough up there too. The OLA they deal with, and they don't really. The OLA, there's so many teams up there, and it's tough to find guys that can play in there without playing for anybody else because of the way it works. So
that's the trouble too.
Yeah, it does suck for those guys. Hopefully, most of them found teams. I know a bunch of guys went to Tonawanda, a few guys went to Tuscarora, so they divvied out okay. I think we should jump right into that. What a series. So when you look at this graphic, you're looking at it like, oh my goodness, Tusky just ran over Tonawanda. And I don't really think that was the case. I mean, they did have one game was pretty lopsided. Wasn't there decent goal disparity? But the other ones were close.
Yeah, the first 2 games that I did in that series, it was very close between Tonawanda and Tuscarora.
Mine was
check
as well
it out
then.
here.
So, yeah.
I want to say it was only like a 3-goal disparity. Yeah, between the first 2 games, it was only 3 goals separating the 2 teams. Tuscarora won 11-9 in game 1 and then 13-12 on the road. So, I mean, pretty close. And then, the game you were at, there was a bit more of a gap there, but Tuscarora, I think, just kind of pulled away at the end. Everybody was saying game 3 was, basically a 1-2 goal game all throughout. Tusky just kind of pulled away. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for that one. Had the senior game that night, but you were.
Yeah, and really, Tusky did a great job of never letting Tonawanda get within 2 goals. So they would get 3 goals up, and then Tonawanda would score, but Tonawanda never really got that run together early enough. And then they finally did. And then when they pulled back ahead for the last time, they just kind of took off with it. But yeah, no, they just, I really got to give the Tusky credit. I think what the biggest difference was is the athleticism that the Junior Tomahawks have and the amount of players, the depth. Really, in that third period, you could see the Tonawanda guys fairly gassed. Like you've got Brayley Abrams and Ace coming out the back door and running up and playing. I mean, they're running 400 feet sometimes before they get off the floor. That's a lot. That's way more than people think it is, really, when it comes to that.
And it's, a differing philosophy as well, between the two teams. Tuscarora, or Tonawanda, excuse me, like you mentioned, has guys like Brayley Abrams and all that play both ends. Like you're often expected to with, being on a team like that. And not to say that you're not expected to be able to play both ends of the floor in Tuscarora, but they have a lot more guys that are dedicated O guys or dedicated D guys, and that's pretty much what you do, or your dedicated role of playing transition, like a Cam Villavada or a Jet Richardson, just to name those two in particular. But it's interesting watching them play and, seeing how they mesh. And I mean, I thought, for the first time ever, these two rivals meeting in a playoff series at the junior level, I thought it was a pretty good one, even though it ended in a 2-0 sweep. I know I was texting a few friends that were watching, and one of my buddies, not even a big lacrosse guy, said, like, I can't believe that series ended in a 2-0 sweep or 3-0 sweep after how close game one was. It did not seem at all like it would be 3-0, but that's the way it goes. Tuscarora just knew how to win those close games, and they get to their first ever Can-Am champion, or excuse me, First Nations Championship Series, and that is going to be so exciting for them. That is a program that is, growing and on the rise. They have been kind of stuck in third place the last few seasons behind the Warchiefs and Onondaga. This year, no Onondaga in their way. They get to the finals. I mean, good for those guys, and good for, Randy Chrysler as well, building that program up. I know he's put in a ton of work with that team, and they're trying to see it all come to fruition here in the championship now that they have completed the 3-0 sweep.
Yeah, no, they are. And really, when you talk about all these programs, they are fairly young. It seems a little weird because it's been around for a while, but the Braves team, they didn't even know if they were going to have one. Huge shout out to all those guys stepping up, coming through tight numbers and being able to run. Huge shout out to J Bob being able to play. That's he faced a lot of rubber in some of those games, but Allegheny really too. They are a young team as well. I think Tonawanda definitely moving in the right direction, coming up and getting things done. It's going to be a good year. Like next year is going to get better. I think they're going to continue to grow. I think they got the snowball effect now. They've got some momentum going. I would expect a better. They were close. You're talking 1-2 goals every game difference. A little, coming out here different. Maybe not playing so flat for. They let up a couple of big runs and then they respond and just they got to get over that hump. And I mean, let's switch over to the other series, which we don't know. It probably is the final, but I'd like to talk about Allegany and just how far they've come. They were in the same position Tonawanda was in last year, low numbers, barely making it to games, limping their way through, and then to see this year, right at the end, they pulled out a win. They really came a long ways.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the other side of the bracket, Allegheny and the Warchiefs, they did get that late season win over Tonawanda, and they really have made a ton of progress. That was a team that um, was non-competitive in some games earlier on in the season, but were able to, get better. As we'll get a look at the bracket there for you. Don't have any team going to the finals yet. Apologies. I am missing the result of the game from last night between the Warchiefs and the Allegheny Arrows. Um, if the Warchiefs were victorious, that would mean it was a 3-0 sweep. Definitely a possibility considering they haven't lost a game all season, but you really just never know in this league, especially because Allegheny has, made some big additions to their team, over the last, few weeks leading up for the playoffs. And I mean, they've been some guys that have been able to make a difference, but of course, I mean, somebody like Kelvin George always leading the way. He's such an impressive player, isn't he?
Yeah, no, to watch him. So Stamper might be joining us. That's why I just moved myself, and I don't have the screen presenting anymore. But we might be getting an impromptu guest with Stamp. I think I got it set up for us. Yeah, big fan of watching Kelvin George. I think goaltending is a big deal when it comes to this. Allegany again, the goaltender. Forgive me, I forget his name, but he's
They
getting.
uh they originally had Mogi Buffalo as their starter. Then they added Talum Sandy, who came over from Six Nations after the fire folded.
Yeah,
One man who his name was escaping me. I just want to make sure I get it in here. I really liked watching Tony Galante play for Allegheny on their junior squad. Guy who's plays his collegiate lacrosse up at U Albany. He looked very impressive for the junior Arrows in their game, and just wanted to make sure I got that in there and gave him his props because he looked real good.
yeah. No, it's everybody's been. I'm a huge fan of the parity. The way these leagues have been turning out, it's getting better every year. The juniors. I don't know if Onondaga is going to have a juniors team next year or not. It'll be interesting to see. I realize I sent Stamp to the wrong email. So, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out because you might get guys that are coming back. They've got a couple of U Albany players. They've got a connection there with Amos. I'm not sure how that works out. Everybody seems to be like going to U Albany. They're getting U Albany guys in their junior programs. I would expect things to keep growing in there. Does Onondaga have a team next year? And then more importantly, to just continue talking this year, the Warchiefs and Tusky, the games haven't been that close. What does Tusky have to do to be able to win this game? And thank you very much, Hillsborough, for letting us know that. He just told us they won.
They did win. Okay, there is the official update there. 19-2. I didn't want to say for sure with how the first two games went. I want to say what was 17-10 and maybe what 10-7 for the
Yeah.
first two for them. So really not horribly lopsided by any means, but yeah, War Chiefs get into the finals. What does Tusky have to do to win? They got to bear down. They got to play smart, and you know, just capitalize on their opportunities because they're going to be limited. The War Chiefs aren't going to, give you a plethora of chances to win the game. So when you get your opportunity, make the most of them and, come up big on the power play, especially.
Yeah. Turn your phone sideways, Stamper,
Okay.
if you can.
I might
Bang.
have to hold it. I'm having trouble with the
Stand's
with the
not working?
tripod.
Aha. So, are you ready for this weekend? I cannot believe how close those games ended up being. The overtime game. You got to be excited for Thursday.
Friday.
Or Friday, yes. Well, I'm excited for
Friday.
Thursday.
Man.
Yeah, I'm excited for Thursday. You're excited for Friday.
Yeah. No, it's going to be good. After I was over in Poland for the European Lacrosse Championships, hence the Bulgaria shirt and the ELF hat, and it was kind of a wild week and a half for me. I got sick, lost my voice for about 3.5 days.
That's convenient while you're yeah.
It was really something. It was a great finish to that tournament, and then came back. The 8 hour flight from Warsaw to Toronto, and kind of eased my way back into being healthy, and I'll get that thumb out of the way there. But yeah, no, it's when I saw the first game was 23-6, like everybody else, I went and had a chance to watch some of that game and thought, wow, that's a tough one to bounce back from, right? But the overtime game was certainly exciting, and it sure sets up. Greg, you were saying, it's not out of the question for Grand River to sweep 2 games this weekend. I think that's true. I think it seems unlikely, but man, can you imagine Tonawanda not getting to even go back and have another home game? That would be wild.
It would be wild and crazy. I know it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen. Very improbable. Yeah. But yeah, could you imagine? I mean, we're talking about parity in this league too, and then Grand River steps up. I mean, they have gotten some clutch players. You get to watch them more than anybody. Will you fill me in a little bit on some of that transition? Because I don't know everybody's name.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still switching back to my Canadian box mode.
You were just in Poland calling, yeah, so it's completely different,
Yeah, but you start with Tom Montour, who is always such a threat, right? And he stopped playing, I don't know, like 10 years ago, but he's back and he's still dangerous as heck. has a great sense of when to leak out. And just has a knack. He's still fast. Like it blows me away how fast he still is. But he sets himself up so he doesn't need to be crazy fast by getting great jumps. You've got Vern Hill, who's absolutely deadly, and I think maybe one of the best players I've ever seen at picking off passes across the top of the formation. Like I just wouldn't do it. I just would not pass across the top of the offensive formation of Vern Hill's in the neighborhood because there's such a good chance that he'll be gone the other way and score on you. And they run with a bunch of guys. And the other big thing they have, of course, is How Dice Miracle coming off the bench in that long change period, like in the first and third. Or no, is it second, first, and is it just the second?
Long change is the second,
it's
usually.
the first and third because they're down in the end to the right. So the first and third, they have How Dice Miracle coming off the bench in transition. He can be very dangerous. He's mostly a quick stick guy. It seems like he is deadly on those back doors, but he can come off the bench as well. Jacob Bomberry, you were mentioning, he's a Jacob now. He's like in the Jacob, even though his Facebook still says Jake. But he is such an important player for them. And the other lefty, Sam Firth, you mentioned, is such a key player for them. But like you said, there's other guys. I love that you're pointing out Todd Thomas. I think Dustin Anticoke will come up with some key goals when you need him to, right? A little 97. And they really do have a balanced attack. I haven't mentioned Keto Hill, who is just a one man highlight machine when he gets it in his mind to do something. Marshall Paulus, it's a heck of an offense. But yeah, those transition guys on the run. I think Cole Paulus does a really nice job. Nobody really knows much about him. It doesn't feel like outside of this league, but he's a very good young player, just a glider when he gets going on the run. I think to me the big question is, you look at goaltending. You talk about Joel Watson being there, not being there because of the accident. But, Jake Lazor stepped in, Wayne Abrams stepped in. But Imani Mitten could be the key to this weekend, right? Because he's a young player. He was great out west, went out to Port Coquitlam. It was Port Coquitlam. He went out to the BC Junior League. He's come back. He's just a youngster. He's 22, 23 years old. And that's not usually a recipe for consistent, sustained goaltending success. But boy, when Imani Mitten is on, he's really sharp, and he just makes a huge difference. And he was right in that overtime win. Trevor, you got to see that up close and personal.
Yeah, I mean, the first game, as Greg and I kind of talked about, he came in relief and was a little shaky, and they got Norm back in there, but he was dialed in, to say the least, in that second game. And you could tell really right from the start of the game that he was locked in. And, I think he might have just said to himself, we're not having 23-6 again, not on my watch.
Yeah.
And he made sure of it. And yeah, I mean, if he's playing that good for these next two games up in Brantford, I mean, good luck to anybody trying to get the ball by him, because when he's on, he is on.
Yeah, and he's so tough in tight, right? I mean, you see guys get great looks at him in the slot, and he's turned aside some very good players. I mean, some of the saves made on Chris Kluche and some of these guys, he can be lights out in tight. But he's also, it seems like a lot of times the goalie, if he's really sharp in tight, will have trouble facing the long shots. But Mitten seems to be when he's on, he seems to be on from pretty much all over, which I think is a big factor, because it just, what do you do? Like, what is the solution? Create breakaways? Well, he's actually pretty good on breakaways too. You talk about the transition game that Tonawanda has with tons of guys. You can go Jason Chiodo and a handful of other guys really stepping up their games. You mentioned even Kyle Belter is running now, right?
Zach Belter.
But what's that?
Zach Belter.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm still like 3 days away from being completely back off of Poland time.
The jet lag.
But yeah, I mean, Mitten can be great on those. So now, if he's not on, I think it's a big issue for Grand River. I mean,
you end up with a 23-goal game because it's that devastating.
Yeah,
with the depth, especially that Tonawanda has on offense.
Yeah, right. So yeah, no, I think it should be a great couple of games, and so Allegany and Newtown get going Thursday.
Yeah, Yeah,
Thursday.
me and Trevor will be out there. We're going to have everything set up. I'm going to set up the GoPros for Trevor as long as Gillet will let me leave them overnight, which I think they will. I got to call Scotty
Okay.
Lay today. They're usually pretty cool out there. I'm going to, you know what? We didn't set it up like this, but here we go. Trevor, Newtown Thursday. Who's winning, Newtown or Allegany?
So Newtown went into Allegany and took game number 1 on the road. Allegany responded in game 2. I think Allegany will go on the road and win in game number 3 to take the 2-1 lead. And then I'm going to say Newtown will tie it up in game 4 to send it to a decisive game number 5 at the Allegany Community Center.
Ooh,
Is game 5 on Saturday or Sunday in that series?
Sunday.
I believe they are both Sunday at 5 o'clock if they end up having to play. So we could have 2 games going on at the same time.
Yeah, busy times.
It is. Stamper? I'm going to make you pick them.
Am I picking the same series? Or
Same series. Yep, we're starting there, then we'll move to the other one.
I mean, I haven't seen as much of it as Trevor has, so I feel, like I probably shouldn't question him. But on the other hand, we do that, right? So
That's what makes it entertaining. I'm going to pick the opposite of, if you pick with Trevor, I'm picking the opposite, and I'm going to argue my points.
Okay. I feel like, I mean, Newtown can be so devastating at times, right? But I just think Allegany, I mean, they were put together to win this thing, right? And I feel like I'd have to go Arrows. I don't know about going to a game 5. I'm going to go the opposite of Trevor and go Allegany wins 3, Newtown gets 4, and then we go to a game 5 on Sunday in Allegany with the Arrows taking that one.
I actually see that being the case too, though. I think Allegany has a lot of guys that travel. At least when they travel to Allegany, it's kind of home, but it's still a travel. But then you notice the second day, Allegany has more time. I mean, you look at the just the coaching staff that they have up there. It's crazy. You know, you got Mr. Miller, you got Zed, you got the whole Carl Kettle. Yeah, there's so many guys over there. You're always forgetting somebody when you talk about it. I think, yeah. So, like I said, I think Stamper's right, though. I think Newtown's going to squeak the first one out at home, high energy, and then Allegany's going to win. We're going to have a game 5. They're determined to try to make it as hard for me as possible to cover the Pee-wees before we get to, we want to be able to cover the Pee-wees in Newtown on Sunday. So they're going to make us struggle for that one. And I guess we might as well start with you, Stamper, because you're going to be streaming next week's game. So you guys are what, Friday, Saturday?
We're Friday, Saturday, both games at 8 o'clock. There's a Senior C weekend in Brantford, Saturday, Sunday. So all the Western teams from the Ontario Senior C League will be playing there. A bunch of games, like a full round robin for the 5 teams that are on the Western side over Saturday, Sunday, 4 games each. Shorter games, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think it's funny because Tonawanda is such a hard team to pick against. Because all year everyone's been like, "Wow, they're really good. They're really good." I mean, they were beating Allegany, who we all thought was going to be the top club, and I feel like I can't see Grand River sweeping Friday, Saturday, but I also think it'd be pretty surprising if they don't win one of the 2 games, just because of the way they come back all the time. I mean, they're such a resilient club, which sets up a heck of a Sunday. With the 2 series going. I don't know. Do we have to pick the order, or can I just say they're going to split?
You could say they're going to split, and then I'll argue over which way I think they're going to split if Trevor doesn't want to. But we'll put Trevor on the spot now. They're splitting according to Stamper. Trevor, what do you think?
I think if Grand River didn't respond in that second game and just rolled over and died, it would have been a 3-game sweep, no problem. But with how they responded, I think they are going to for sure get at least one.
The first one? Is that what you're saying? Because of how they responded, they're rolling with momentum?
See, I think Tonawanda is going to answer Grand River's latest punch with one of their own. So I think they're going to take game 3. Grand River will respond to them in game 4. And then game 5, who knows? Anything goes in a game 5. That's for sure.
Yeah, anything goes in a game 5. It's more travel for them than it is for the other teams. I'm going to I actually agree with you. I think Tonawanda's going to go. They're taking it personal. They got punched in the mouth. They lost at home to in a game
First time this season.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, that is crazy. So they've only had, I mean, I'm really going to count that as Grand River's first road win, because even in Onondaga, they were struggling on and off. I mean, that was an impressive win down there to respond like that after the stomping. First road win. Is it momentum or was it just a wake-up call for Tonawanda? You're saying wake-up call because they're going to respond. So, I don't know. What do you think, Stamper? Wake-up call or?
I feel like probably more wake-up call. I'm inclined towards Tonawanda Friday, Grand River Saturday. Just the responses, because both teams do tend to respond so well. But I will say, I think so much of the way this series has gone and the way the games between these teams have gone during the season, I think the first period is a huge difference. Because it could, now again, the 23 game was 4-2 after the first.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like somebody could get out, 5 or 6-0, and it could be either team, and that's just such a hole to climb out of.
I mean, to your point, Grand River was up 6-2 after the end of the first in game number 2, and they finished on 12 goals. So I mean, that was half their production in the first. Tonawanda just couldn't dig themselves out of that hole.
You can never dig yourself out of a hole, Trevor. If you dig, you just keep going deeper.
I'm really good at throwing myself into the hole and digging it as deep as I can. So I know all about that, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't know. The momentum really is I think it's a bigger factor that people let on. I don't know. When you just look at the way they respond, I think Tonawanda's defense, I think they're angry now. Lee Abrams is coming back. He's all healed up. I seen him. I was talking to him. I think, their size is just too much for 2 games in a row. When are we might as well pick game 5 then, since we already went this far.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, Trevor, I'm putting you on the spot first. Game 5, Tonawanda, because you're going to be at the game. Who's winning it?
Yeah, as long as that game is going to be played, I will be there. I don't think I see a universe in which Tonawanda loses a home game 5 for a chance to go to the Can-Am Championship Series. So I think Tonawanda will win at home.
Pretty safe bet. Stamper?
Yeah, I mean, I think if Grand River's going to win the series, I think they need to do it Friday, Saturday. I think Sunday I'd be going with Tonawanda at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
100%.
Yeah. I think more interesting will be the sweep that's going to happen. We all think not going to happen this week. Allegany's going to be able to get a game 5. That is, and really Newtown won the first game. They've won there already. How does Allegany respond in game 5? I mean, like you said, they were built to win this. Can they do it? Can Craig Seneca withstand the barrage because essentially it'll be Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So you got 2 days off, might be enough, but boy, that's asking a lot.
And they generally alternate, right? Even in the playoffs, have they been alternating in net?
I've only seen
I think it's just Craig Seneca.
It's just Craig Seneca?
Yeah.
I thought when they had back-to-backs, they tended to.
No, they ran Craig both days.
I think they kind of ride Craig till he can't anymore.
They're just going to keep whipping the horse till he can't run anymore. I don't blame him. I mean, he's been making crazy saves. I wish I had Jason down there keeping track of the shots like you got, Trevor. You're pretty spoiled up there.
Oh, that is such a nice luxury to have, especially in games like that where both teams are really just shooting the lights out. But yeah, no, Craig Seneca, he's been my goaltender of the year pick all season. So I think I would expect him in net for Newtown the whole rest of the way.
So which half of your Bandits are winning that one, Trevor? Are you going to be a DeHoka Scanlon guy, or are you thinking that Frazier and Kluche got it?
I mean, to me, that series is the biggest flip of a coin right now. I feel like those teams are very evenly matched, but I think we're going to get a rematch of last year. I think it'll be Tonawanda, Allegany in the championship again.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with that.
It's logical. I mean, and just because we said that now, who knows? I don't want to.
Now Newtown's probably going to beat them like 23-6 in game 5, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much, Stamper, for joining us. Glad you made it back from Poland, because if not, I really would have been tempted to try to drive to Six Nations. Saturday, nothing going on because it's Jared's graduation party, so we cannot make it anywhere on Saturday. We will be in Hudson Falls celebrating that. But, yeah, can't wait for the games. Both at 8 o'clock, you said, Thursday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday.
Or Friday and Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Thursday,
and I think
Friday.
It was really nice of Allegany and Newtown to put the games Thursday, Friday, Sunday, so you could go to Jared Scrad and not miss anything.
100%. I'd like to believe they did that for me on purpose, so I don't think
Why?
so.
What else would it be?
Yeah, obviously.
No other reasons.
No other reasons. I love it. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Trevor, we'll see you on Thursday. Stamper will be watching you on Friday. Until then, thanks, everybody.